Broadcasting live from downtown Las Vegas, you're tuned in to Guerilla Cross Radio. Broadcasting live from downtown Las Vegas, you're tuned in to Guerilla Cross Radio.
Yo, you tuned in to Guerilla Cross Radio.
Yo. Welcome to the final countdown. We are live from Guerilla Cross Studios in beautiful downtown Las Vegas. As always, I'm your guy, MP, Michael Price. That's right, folks. I am back in the seat, and I'm joined by that handsome guy, my co-host, Jay Long. What's going on, brother?
Man. Another beautiful day.
You know what? It's always beautiful
There's
in
wind
Vegas.
and rain everywhere in the nation, and it's beautiful. It's like 70 degrees here, and my allergies are killing me. So
I think that's everybody.
But you know what? It's my favorite time of the year because as Quan and I were talking before the show started, there's a game every single night of the week. It's that time of the year. Sports, there's never been a better time to be in sports.
What season is it?
Oh,
Sports season.
sports season.
It is sports season. I'm going to tag that thing. I swear for God, I'm going to put some money on it and get a trademark. Hey, guys, you can join us in the show anytime by calling us at 702-608-3259. Yeah, it's sports season, man. It's just a little bit of everything. I was watching the game last night, catching up on the UFC, and then also watching the preview for the NBA. And I was soaking it all in, man. I felt like a piece of a roll with some gravy. Just sopping it all up, baby boy.
I like it, man. I like it. Like I said, man, it's the best time of the year. It's my favorite time because it's not, it's a mix of all of my favorite sports. And hockey's become my favorite.
How did I forget that
one of my favorite sports, and of course the Golden Knights last night. We'll talk about them in just a little bit, but let's bring it back a little bit. Let's talk about last Sunday. Let's look at the Week 4 NFL and some barbershop shop. Why don't we do that?
Yeah, why don't we do that? So getting that first thing kicked off, and it's kind of funny to when we look about this, the Bills. When's the last time anyone on sports talk radio, at the barbershop, at the water cooler, has talked about the Bills winning? You $5 bills, but we don't talk about the Bills winning. And here they are in a position where I think they could have possibly won last week against the Patriots. It was more of them not doing just enough to get over that hump. Tom Brady probably had one of those, as we talked about earlier, bad games, which, how many times are you going to bet that Brady's going to have a bad game in order for you to win? It was that last week the Bills didn't do enough to pull it out. But as we said, did the Bills win and losing? And I'm going to let you start that one off.
You know what? I think, going back to last week, we talked about how, there are no moral victories in the NFL, but there are certain victories when it comes to teams that have been downtrodden for a while, and they got a young team, and they're trying to build on something really positive. And that I will give to the Bills. Now, the obvious is that they lost and that Josh Allen turned over the ball. 3 interceptions for him. Matt Barkley came in and he threw an interception. So it was pick city. But let me read off a few surprising stats, because I know at the end of the game, the final score is the only thing that matters, right? But total yards, New England was held to 224 total yards. Like you said, Tom Brady had an atrocious game, but he didn't just have an atrocious game because he was off that day. The Bills' defense looked very, very good. And in fact, time of possession, Buffalo owned. First downs, New England only had 11 first downs. Buffalo had 23 first downs. It's those interceptions. It's those giveaways of the football that New England capitalized on that really doom Buffalo. But if they can do that, and they have that young quarterback, if they can hold on to that ball, and if we can get Josh Allen to just be, just don't turn it over.
Right.
Now, there you go. Now, Buffalo's got a good team, and they're still sitting pretty. That's one game, and I'm sure they'll go in there and they'll make those corrections and stuff. But also the penalties. I mean, they had 8 penalties for about 76 yards, and they were only 2 of 13 in third down conversions, but they didn't walk away with any sacks either. So Brady was hurried. He was making mistakes. They had a good defense, good defensive effort, young team. But ultimately, Josh Allen, those you can't do that. I know he's a second-year guy, but you can't do that. You were in prime position to win. And 3 interceptions. Come on, bro.
Wait a minute. It sounds like you kind of believe in these Bills here.
I am actually kind of a believer in these Bills.
Huh.
You know what? And I like underdogs.
Okay.
I like underdogs. I like for them to come up and turn it around, especially a franchise that, really needs something after this long. They've had flirts with success in the past, in the last few years. They really need something. Now, I'm not saying they need a Super Bowl victory, but they like the Browns, they at least need a team they can be proud of and support and, make all those emergency room trips where all those fans jump through tables and off of things.
Yeah.
All those things worth it.
So, and we look at that. There's several teams out there, some that we are in the Bills and the Browns. I'll even throw my Detroit Lions into that status.
Sure.
But then we have teams, and we'll go ahead and talk about it, the Eagles.
Right.
The Eagles who won a Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. Last year, Carson Wentz got injured, so it was another scenario where Nick Foles had to step in to play. They didn't go as far as they wanted to. But starting off this season, especially since the Detroit Lions beat them, everyone's looking at the Eagles just a little bit different. They come back last Sunday. They beat the Green Bay Packers. But did they beat a Green Bay Packers team that is really going to do something this season? Because from all the conversations around the league, Green Bay's not the same Green Bay. They're not scoring as many points. So everyone's always trying to take something away when someone's winning. And
I'm guessing you caught the show last week.
Yeah,
you weren't here. I'm guessing you caught the show because they absolutely look like players for the playoff race. And I said, you know what? I still haven't bought in because they seem to do that mid-season collapse, that Packers mid-season, kind of like the Chargers do. They do that mid to late season collapse thing. But you know what? This Packers team Sunday looked really good. I mean, Aaron Rodgers throws for 400 yards. And they skirt by intercepting them at the end of the game. But this win for that Eagles team was really something they needed. And it really shows how deep that team is, how good they are, and that the early season hiccups may be behind them because they played well as a unit. And even though the stats say they should have lost that game handily, they look good. They come out with the W. And I believe that this was a good-looking Packers team on Sunday, and they beat a good-looking Packers team. So, I mean, I like it for the Eagles. I mean, I don't like it for my Cowboys when they have to face the Eagles. But for Eagles fans out there, it looked like they have, time will tell, but it looks like for at least another week, it looks like they're doing something positive.
You said for another week.
For another week.
That's all we can give everybody in this league.
That's it. I mean, these are early sample sizes, but, hey, to beat that team, when Rodgers throws for 400 yards, he drops back 53 times,
yeah, it's been
something
incredible.
like that. I mean, to come out with a victory, it says something about your football team.
And you went ahead and you talked about it, the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Where are they heading this season?
Oh,
you look at them, and it's like you always say, this is our year. You start, I think everyone always says that this is our year, but I believe you guys really believe every year that this is our year, baby. We're going all the way.
We're delusional. We are delusional.
It's that heat. It's that doggone heat that just rises up from the cement and just burns your brain out.
Oh, my God. How are you going to lose on 4 field goals? So how is Will Lutz?
Who?
Will Lutz.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
How is Will Lutz going to beat you, man? I knew you were going to bring it up. I didn't even want to talk about it.
No, but it's one of those scenarios. You look at it. We talk about Dak. He was just on the rise, and everybody's critique saying, "Hey, you know what? This is Dak. This is what he does.
Sure.
He doesn't lose games.
Sure.
He knows how to manage. He knows how to win." Zeke, I think the whole team, and I won't just say it Zeke because it was the whole team. What did he have? 43 yards?
Yeah, like 30 something,
30 something yards. Rushing, and he got his big payday. He got his big check. And we understand that the offensive line had 2 players missing on the offensive line. But in that same breath, Barry Sanders never had a line. Never.
Right.
And if we're talking about Zeke being in the same light as some of these great running backs in the day, he needs to do something. He needs to be that difference maker. He needs to be the guy who takes that pressure off of Dak and bust a couple. And he has not done that up until this point.
Yeah. I mean, he was kind of looked good. He looked good the first couple of weeks, a couple of 100-yard games. Looked really well. Even the great ones had bad games. And I will say that. And it is one game. So, but they do have the Packers coming up. They do have the Eagles coming up. They the schedule for the Dallas Cowboys doesn't get easier. Man, their schedule actually as the year goes on gets pretty daunting. And so they need to find a way whenever teams shut down Zeke like that, because it's probably not the last time it's going to happen this season. When they shut him down like that, Dak has got to be able to get up there and make these plays, and put – that's what elite quarterbacks do. Now, we just talked about Tom Brady having a bad game. Yes, Tom Brady had a bad game, but he's had almost 20 years of excellence. And those 6 Super Bowl rings say that about the man. That's what elite quarterbacks do. They rise to the occasion. They find ways to win. Now, no, it's not all on Dak, but that defense was good. It held them. I mean, most times when you hold a team to 4 field goals, you're going to win the game.
Sure.
As long as your offense is producing something. If they're not producing anything, I mean, what do you expect?
Right.
What do you expect? What happened?
No,
so we'll see.
We'll see. And then, I mean, when you say that number one receiver, he needs to find something, Amari Cooper. He needs to find a way to get
and he's
open.
hobbled. He's got an injury he's dealing with. You can see it. He's not getting the separation that he has in the last couple of weeks. But you got to find a way. They're getting Gallup back. They're getting some of these guys back. But, hey, if you have to, throw it to, I was about to say Jay Novacek. Throw it to your tight end, Mr. Retire, Unretire. Throw it to him, That big old hoss right there. Throw 10, 12 times. Get that guy, get you some first downs, get some momentum.
And he wants it. That's what he came back for.
That's Jason Witten came back. Throw him the ball.
Yeah, he did not come back just to be a centerpiece, just for them to say, hey, we got Jason Witten back. He came to be a difference maker.
Yeah.
And they need to use all those weapons.
He didn't come back for Dancing with the Stars. Let's go.
He did not
throw
do that.
the man the ball. He's a big old target. Throw him the ball.
Now, last week, there was a lot of skepticism as far as the Browns and everything that they were doing. Are they for real? Are there too many divas? Is there enough footballs to go around? And then they go ahead and they put a beat down, and look at, was it 45 to 20?
Yeah, 45-20.
45-20? No, 45-25 over the Ravens.
Yeah.
And, you look at that because the Ravens were such on a rise. And you look at this game, and I know you and I talk about it all the time. You look at a game like that, like, what the hell happened? Are the Ravens just not know where they are? Are the Browns, as we said, or have they found their groove? And it has to be a combination of the two. Lamar Jackson has looked great in the first 3 games of the season. Then all of a sudden, and not to say he didn't play well.
Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not that he didn't play well, but then all of a sudden the stalwart of a defense gives up 45 points to the Browns. Mind you, they have the weapons to pull something like this off. But, is this the season that we're going to be looking at for everybody, where we never know what's going to – people's money's going to be messed up. I think that's the best way for me to put it. People's money are going to be messed up this whole season because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, you may want to wait a couple of weeks to really shake out who these teams are, because it's one of those games where you're trying to figure out, like, are the Ravens bad or is Cleveland turning a corner and they're really good? I think, like you said, I think it's a little bit of both, and what I believe is going to be frustrating for Ravens fans and Browns fans this season is that you're going to get games like this. I think you're going to find this kind of consistent inconsistently, inconsistencies. There you go. That's probably the best way to say that. You're just going to find it's going to be frustrating. I think the hype was too much for the Browns this season. They still got to gel together as a team. They still don't have an offensive line, not a good one.
Right.
Baker Mayfield is playing in a collapsed line. Every time he drops back, it seems that line collapses around him. So he's trying to make plays. And at some teams, you see, it's got to work against. He was very good. He looked very good against the Ravens. Some teams, it's not going to work against. It helps when your running game gets going. So this offensive line that hasn't been good suddenly shows up, and they're like, okay, we'll start getting some blocks. Chubb runs for 200.
I was going to say that. He goes crazy.
He goes for like 2,000 yards, in one game. That's great. We need that every single time if you're a Browns fan. But that's been their problem so far. The offensive line has been up. They've been down. They've been collapsing. If they can play like that, if they finally righted it, they've got the patterns down and things like that, I think it's going to be good times for them. But I believe for Browns fans and probably Ravens fans as well, you're going to have that maddening inconsistency right now.
So if I'm a Browns fan, am I excited about 8-8?
Yeah.
If we end up 8-8.
Yeah. If you're a Browns fan, yeah. As long as you didn't buy into the hype. As long as you didn't think, hey, we're going to the Super Bowl, like us Cowboys fans, right? As long as you didn't buy into that 8-8 or 9-6, 9-7, 10-6, something like that, I think is a great position for the Browns, And I know that nobody says, oh, I want my team to go 8-8, but being realistic.
Baby steps.
Realistic, man.
Yeah.
8-8, something to build on, Get you some big old offensive linemen in there that are going to be consistent, keep Mayfield up so he can have time to draw back and make some of these passes. And so Chubb can do that consistently.
Could this be that NFL season like we used to have back in the heyday where 10-6 is a winning record, because of the inconsistencies or just because of the play of all the teams? Because you never know.
It may so.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. It may be one of those seasons where even a 9-7 team or something like that just comes out of the woodwork and they make the playoffs, wild card or something like that. That's just kind of how it's falling at the moment. You're always going to have your teams like the Patriots, stuff like that seem to separate themselves from everyone else. But right now, you got a lot of up and down. So we'll see what happens, man. But you know what? That's what makes it fun.
That's football,
what makes
baby.
it fun. Hey, I'm not bad at it.
Just win, baby.
The Giants owe one of their Super Bowls to a run like that, right? They went in, they kind of backed it to the playoffs. They caught fire, and Eli may end up in the Hall of Fame one day because of that. So.
Yeah, let's not even depress ourselves like that.
Yeah.
Now, talking about depression, the Broncos are 0-4. And it amazes me, when we look at the Broncos, the one thing that we've never talked about in the tenure of John Elway is John Elway being on the hot seat. But talking about a man who's been more inconsistent with selecting that next guy. And I don't know if it's just his ego and everyone wants to find that next quarterback. I'm not going to pretend like that's not a thing. But just some of the moves and some of the impatience that he's had with some of these quarterbacks. And not that they have gone, the Paxton Lynches of the world, gone somewhere else and just been killing it.
Yeah.
But John, he's the one who's making these decisions. He's the general manager. He's the Hall of Fame former quarterback who's led them to 2 Super Bowls. Now we look at John Elway and we're just giving him all this leeway.
Yeah.
We don't look at John and say, oh, John, it's on you. I don't even know if we even criticize him at all. And this may be the first time that he's been criticized. And do you think it's fair?
It's deservedly fair. I mean, yes, he's going to get more leeway because he is a hero and he's a legend in that organization. But at some point, you have to look at the results. And since Peyton Manning retired and they, had that vaunted defense, now the defense looks a mess. And you cannot be as consistent as they are in the NFL draft at missing on players and expect to succeed. Because you're trying to build a team through trades, bringing in Joe Flacco, who's not, his best days are behind him. Joe Flacco's
he's on the back 19.
Yeah, he's on the back 19, absolutely. And it's better than it has been, but it's still not good enough. At 0-4, you're sitting at 0-4. You're already, a lot of your players, and probably, even though they won't say it, they're already looking at going, I wonder what next year is going to be like around this organization. At some point, it has to fall on John Elway. You have not been able to find you a quarterback. You've swung and missed on several prospects, and you keep trying to bring in these guys, that don't
Lightning
live
in a
up
bottle.
to it. Yeah, the most consistent thing they do is turn the ball over to the other team, and you can't win like that, especially when the thing that was holding you in games, your defense, is no longer as feared as it was, and no longer producing as it was. And at some point, one finger and others got to go to John and go, do you know what you're doing? I don't know anymore.
Oh, well, now Chubb's out for the season.
And now Chubb's out.
Yeah, so where'd they go from there? And you know what the main consistency has been with this team for the last several years? John Elway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
We'll look at that.
We'll see.
All right, you're listening to the Final Countdown live from the Guerilla Cross Studios in lovely downtown Las Vegas. MP and Jeremy, you can hit us up at any time at 702-608-3259. We would love to talk to you and hear your input on what's going on with this season. Right. Whatever you want to talk about. It doesn't even have to be football. We just love to hear from you. So, man, it's hard to believe, as we just talked about, basketball season's coming. I'm sitting around yesterday. I'm watching Fox Sports, and they just broke down every team from Houston Houston Rockets, the Clippers, the Lakers, and I'm looking at this and I'm getting excited. For the first time in 5 years, everyone's not saying just give the trophy to the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
I'm not standing up, folks. I was going to lie, but I forgot you can see me. I'm just no standing ovation here. I am so excited to hear that parity is here. We don't know what's going to happen. And, man, it's hard to believe, Golden State Warriors aren't here. So who's the pressure on, man? Who is the pressure on? And, we look at these questions. All of a sudden, they even had a piece about the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday and Giannis. And they showed little baby Giannis and what he wanted to be back when he was 17 years old, just giving all of his, I just want to be the best. I'm going to be an MVP player. And he looked like Boney James, and not Boney James, the great jazz musician, little Boney James around the corner. But now here he is, the MVP. His team had the best record last season.
Yeah.
And it's the pressure on him. Once you get into that status of being number one, wanting to be number one, you put that target on your back.
Yeah.
Is it there? Is the pressure on him?
Yeah. The pressure. Well, if it's not on him personally, it's on that organization. They have a really big year coming up because at the end of this, he's going to be available for the Supermax contract extension, and at this point, it's 5 years, $247 million.
How much?
$247.
$245.
Yeah, and some change.
Oh my God!
They always do that. It was always like something 6, 7, and 89 cents. But that's what the extension. And right now, everything he's saying is, I don't want to talk about that. That's at the end of the year. That's going to be rude because there are tampering things. You don't want to say it because the Bucks already got fined $50,000 for saying that they're ready. They want to sign him tomorrow to this extension because it's the best player to come, through Milwaukee. It's who? I mean,
Lou Alcindor.
There you go.
Right, and that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to you young
Lou.
folks. Yeah,
but the pressure is on the organization because they play. They get a 60-22 record. They get the number 1 seed. They go through. They get bounced, by the eventual champions and the Raptors and everything. So the pressure is on. The pressure is on for the Bucks because if they do anything less than a championship or have a good showing in the playoffs, and that's probably the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that, will he take his talent somewhere else? Is he already thinking like L.A., New York, Brooklyn, something like that? You don't know.
Right.
You have no idea what he's thinking. I know right now he just wants to play ball, but there's a lot of pressure on that Bucks organization. Can they win? Can they win it all with the roster they have?
Well,
I don't know.
And they made some changes, and let some people go, subtraction by addition and addition by subtraction, all those good little phrases we use. But it's really going to come down to him, Giannis. I know that he's developed a jump shot. He's developed a three, which he says he's going to take that three-pointer a lot more this season if it's available for him. Sure. It's not going to be something that's forced. He's not going to go all Boogie Cousins out there and just start dropping threes, like he's Steph Curry. But, no, I think the pressure is on the Bucks. Now, for the first, like I said, season in 5 years, the Warriors don't have pressure on them. But I think it's not pressure, but I know that they feel that they need to show everybody that it wasn't about KD. And I don't know how far that's going to go with the way that the season is going to start with them, really, when they just have Draymond Green and Steph Curry. And
I know how you feel about Draymond.
I love Draymond. I do, right? Not, folks. I do not believe in Draymond Green. So I think there's going to be a lot of exposure going on with that team, a lot of exposure for Draymond Green, that he's not this max deal guy that they've made him out to be when you have the shooters that he had on his team. And I'm not saying that he's not a good player, but I don't even think he can fit into Dennis Rodman's shoes. He's just a guy who fell into a good situation, and he learned how to maximize his talents around that team. Steve Kerr is a great coach, and he got a system that was able to give Draymond the opportunities to give the dime, the backdoor passes. It's not like Draymond was coming up like Magic Johnson and all of a sudden just throwing bullets.
Right.
And, was he really killing it with offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds? No, he was average. He was pedestrian in those stats. But the one thing I will give him credit, whenever it counted, he always did come up with points, but I call those invisible points. They weren't difference making points. You know, he would get that 3-pointer when you go, oh crap, now he finally hit it. He's 1 for 17. Now he hits one that counts. But I don't think they're going to have that season that they think they're going to have with Steph and Draymond coming out the gate.
Yeah, they're. You know what? Here's the crazy thing: they've been excellent for so long that the expectations are sky high. The pressure might be off, but the expectations are still there. So if they have a season where, even though they're missing Klay Thompson for the better part of the year, and even if they come back down to earth, in which coming back down to earth for the Warriors may be, I don't know, the 5th or 6th seed or something like that in the West, even if they did that, the expectations are so high. I think it would still look like, I think people would still look at it as a down year and a disappointing year for this team, especially when you look at the max contracts that were handed out. Steph Curry's making $40 million this year.
Jesus.
And he's 31 years old, so he's rounded that 30, I'm not saying he's going to decline, but, eventually these things are going to happen. So what moves are you going to start making as an organization? When Klay Thompson comes back, is he going to be the same?
Right.
Those injuries affect athletes differently. Every athlete's different. And is he going to be the same? How is, like you said, how is Draymond going to respond? The pressure may be off a little bit, but the expectations are still high for Golden State.
Right. And then Steve Kerr, he may be exposed. Yeah. I mean, because now all of a sudden he has D'Angelo Russell.
He might actually have to coach.
He may actually have to coach, just not roll out the ball. Roll out the ball. And then we have the Rockets, as I said before. Westbrook on the Rockets. That's the dynamic that everyone's going to be looking at and saying, wow, is this thing going to work? Do they have enough basketballs out there for Westbrook and the Beard going into it? And, I think I like it. Westbrook brings that dynamic that they didn't have before, that chip on their shoulder. Sure. And, when looking at it, you go, all right, they'll have a little moxie going into it. Westbrook, maybe if he's fixed his jump shot just a little, but still keeps that intensity driving to the hole, kicking it out to an open Westbrook, kicking it out, to someone who's going to be open, because that's the D'Antoni philosophy, run to the corners.
Run
to
and
the
gun.
corners. Yeah, that's it. And maybe this could be their season. I don't know. But again, I think basketball season is going to kind of mirror the football season, that there's so many possibilities out there that anyone can win. And the Rockets, I don't know, because it's going to come down, well, as we know, basketball comes down to defense at some point, and will the Rockets be able to get that stop in the last minute come throughout the season?
Yeah, and that's not going to be, the stop, the defense. That's what it's going to come down to, because the Rockets are going to be able to score points, obviously, because either one of these guys, Westbrook or Harden, they could drop a triple-double at any time. And you're going to have multiple nights where they probably both do. And, they're going to be blowing out teams 135 to, 110 or something like that. But that's the thing. I believe they're going to have to consistently do that. They're going to have to do that all year. I don't think the defense is there, and that's what we're going to see. Are there enough possessions to go around for these guys who both love to chunk up shots on those nights where Harden's not hitting anything, as he's shown so many times when he's 3 for 25? Is he going to be able to, is he going to be willing to just let Westbrook run with it and, resign himself to try to create these open spots for these guys? Or is it going to be, one of these things where it just kind of implodes? Looks good on paper, but implodes. So the first month of the NBA season is going to be really interesting to see how these new teams, you can throw the Clippers in there, but Kawhi and those guys, how is it all going to gel? It looks good on paper, but like someone said the other day, it's not NBA 2K. Not everyone just learns the schematics and the plans and the playbook just right off their heads, and everyone just knows and runs around and gets open. And these guys got to gel. They got to have a rhythm and a feel for each other and anticipation. That's what the Warriors, these great teams that have come through, they've played together for so long. These guys formed this, unbelievable intuition with each other to create open shots and open looks. And, is it going to happen for these new look teams? It's going to be very exciting.
Oh, it is.
For those fan bases, but is it going to pay off? And is anything less than a championship for any one of these teams going to be seen as a disappointment.
Oh,
There's
God,
going to be
yeah.
a lot of disappointed people at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, it will be a lot of disappointing people. A lot of money's been spent. A lot of conversations have been had from the LeBron Davis pickup and what they can do. Boogie Cousins going down over there. We haven't even talked about the Utahs. I'm sure we're going to get into all those top tens later on. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of pressure on everybody. You're listening to the Final Countdown live from Guerilla Cross Studios in downtown Las Vegas. MP Jeremy, hit us up anytime, 702-608-3259. We're going to go ahead and take a break. And when we return, the NBA Top 10. It's the Final Countdown.
Right.
This is your guy, Dre Bailey.
And your man, Goose Thomas.
Tune in to Let the Ball Bounce on Guerilla Cross Radio.
Every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time.
And every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific Coast time. Your guy, Dre Bailey.
And your man, Goose Thomas.
And if you scared,
you better go to church.
Yo, you tuned in to Guerilla Cross Radio.
And welcome back. It's the Final Countdown. MP Jeremy Long. Basketball season, it's really here. It's hard to believe that in 3 weeks we'll have all 4 sports just going in full-blown sports season. But it's the best time of year, folks. There's no reason why any guy or even female out there, we're not sexist, shouldn't just be enjoying the hell out of what's going on. So let's look at this NBA Top 10 heading to the season. And the number one team that we're looking at, the Bucks. The Bucks. We kind of delved in what we think about them. Pressure being on Giannis, making a lot of changes as far as the roster is concerned. It's the Bucks, man. They made it all the way to the Eastern Finals last season, with a stout team.
Yeah.
But the thing that happened with them is, and what the team started to figure out going into the end of the season, is just trap Giannis, and put the pressure on everybody else.
Yeah.
Middlebrook, what can he do for you?
Yeah, and so how do you respond to that?
Right.
They you get exposed in the playoffs. They figure out a way to shut them down. So other teams are going, okay, yeah, we're gonna write that down. So how does that organization from the coaches on down, how do they respond to these situations? We're gonna find out, man. But I still believe right now they are the best team. They're gonna enter the season number 1. They got the target on their back, even though they're not, defending champions or anything. That's the Raptors. But right now, Bucks. You got to go with Bucks, number 1.
All right. And then we're looking at it. And we got number 2, the 76ers. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I agree wholeheartedly with them being number 2, but I know that they're, with the loss of Jimmy Butler going down to Miami, I like what they have from what I heard. God, and I just lost his name, the Australian. God. Oh, for the Sixers.
Oh,
Point guard.
I don't know.
Okay.
Ben Simmons.
There we go. Ben Simmons. He's supposedly been working on his jump shot. I
was just going to let him flounder, man.
Oh, is that what you're going to do? Just let me just jump up and down. That's teamwork over there, folks. That's teamwork. You take a class for that one. Yeah, Ben Simmons, I'm not going to say that he was not the X factor last year, but the way that teams were able to play off him, they would sag off of him, as far as the defense and make him shoot that jump shot. It's going to be up to him, and that's where the turning point is going to be with the Sixers. Can he make a doggone jump shot?
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, because it's like, come on, man.
Are you done with the Kardashians, Ben?
Hey,
are you done trying to do this?
You know what I say? When you touch a Kardashian butt, it's all over for you. It's a curse,
man.
Don't touch one.
But they have a really good-looking squad. Joel Embiid, of course, Ben Simmons. I really like this roster, and I really like I like the growth that I think has happened with these guys, and more time they can spend together and everything. It's really going to be a telling year because with these young cores, you find out very quick. You find out very quick what you have, and if they grow together and the team's getting better, then you keep them all together. You start trying to find those complementary pieces that are going to put them over that little hump. If not, you got to, before you start handing out max contracts to these guys and getting albatrosses of these things around your neck, you got to start cutting people loose.
You said albatrosses.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Old school.
You like that big word?
Oh, man.
Yeah,
It was beautiful, dude. I'm tearing up over here. And then we're looking at the Clippers. They weren't a loaded deck last year, but what they were able to do, they were able to work as a team.
Yeah.
And they had Doc Rivers. That's one thing he is. He's a blue-collar coach where the team takes on his personality. Then you throw in the additions of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and it's kind of funny the way that Kawhi kind of orchestrated everything to get Paul George there in order for him to come. He wanted to bring everybody back to L.A., and so now you have that basis of Dontrez Harrell over there. You have Sweet Lou coming off the bench. Then you put in these other two pieces as far as Kawhi and PG. Now they go from just being a grinding team to a really grinding team with two guys who the emphasis is on defense.
Yeah.
And I look forward to those two being competitive on who checks the best player on the other team, because they have that skill set where Paul George can go all the way up to, the number 4 player, and Kawhi can check everybody on the court.
Yeah, man. I think Paul George is one of those underrated guys. Even though he's considered one of the best guys in the league, he's still one of those quiet guys that flies under the radar, but he's a great compliment to Kawhi and everything he does. You got two guys, like you said, that on both ends of the court, and they make a difference. And I think this is the solid team. I can see why the Clippers are a lot of people's favorite entering this season as far as, who will be the last team standing at the end of the year. It's hard to knock what they've put together in LA, and to do it in one fell swoop like they did, man, hats off to the Clippers organization, because what is it? Just a few years ago, nobody wanted to play with the Clippers.
Oh my God.
Because of everything that happened with the GM or the owner and all that stuff, and then you had Lob City, which was really fun. Again, one of those fun teams on paper, but they never won anything.
Right.
I think they're still floating around there somewhere. Blake Griffin and
he's in Detroit.
But what happened? Blake Griffin, Kardashian. There you go.
Touch one.
What happens? Learn, people, learn. And then, number 4. I'll go ahead and take it from here. Number 4, their crosstown rivals, the Lakers. You gotta, talking about pressure earlier in the show. Is LeBron for the first time really? No, I'm just kidding. Not for the first time. LeBron is under a lot of pressure. The Lakers are under a lot of pressure.
Yes.
But Anthony Davis, that's a good, pickup for them. But they're starting to do that thing. They don't come out and say, hey, we know a guy's getting old. They start saying, we're going to smartly manage his minutes. And that's what they're doing in the preseason with LeBron. And that's to say, LeBron's got a lot of minutes. He's got a lot of miles on those legs, man. You got to keep him fresh and healthy. So that's, man, I'm interested to see, can the Lakers rebound from last season? Awful.
Horrible
Awful for them. So they've kind of revamped the entire roster.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the first years in LeBron in Cleveland, where it's just LeBron and no one else. And once he went down, they had nothing to look forward to other than the draft.
Yeah.
Other than the draft. But then we have number 5, the Denver Nuggets. You have the Joker out there, one of the best big men out there. Jamal Murray, he kind of picked up his slack. Gary Harris, the underrated Jeremy Grant, and, actually the big underrated Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap has been around more teams than, I'd bet that he's probably been on 6 teams, but he never drops off. So it always astounds me that he's always somewhere else.
Yeah.
He's 20-8, but yet no one wants to have him on his team. But I know that he's found a home in Denver. Going into the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, they were the number 1 team in the Western Conference. And
their big center.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. The Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's the truth. That one of the best passing men in the NBA. Soft touch around the rim. Can they pull it out? Can they? The pressure. Can they? Can they work under the pressure? Can they be that diamond once they get that pressure going on them? And it's going to be hard to see, because once you've had the best record, man, and you learn that best record doesn't get you to the championship.
Man, I like the Nuggets starters. My concern about the Nuggets is their depth. Are they going to have enough guys coming off the bench that can hang with the second squads of a lot of these teams? To me, I don't see it. I don't think they have enough pieces to do it. And that's not a knock on their guys. They just don't have it. And I don't think this is the year for them. I think there's still a few pieces away. Like you said, Paul Millsap, and of course the Joker, Torrey Craig, Gary Harris, and these guys. I think they're phenomenal players. But who's going to be that guy that's going to be able to provide that spark off the bench for them? I don't see it for the Nuggets this season, but I've been surprised before And like I'm saying, you're kind of going back to the Rockets. I hope the Rockets surprise. They're going to score a lot of points. I really hope they gel and come up with some defensive stops and some really. I hope they overachieve on defense because offense is going to be fun. It's going to be super explosive. The defense is where they may get tripped up.
They're going to drop off just a little bit, people. Oh, that was a creepy voice. I will not do that one anymore. I'm sorry about that, folks. Then we have the Warriors. We talked about the Warriors. The pickup of God, I forgot his name that fast.
Nope.
No.
Don't help him.
Oh, you don't know it anyway. You don't know.
I don't even know what you're talking about. You didn't even get a full sentence out.
Yeah, the Warriors.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
No.
Did you see that look, folks? That was shade. He agreed that was shade. Shade. No, we have Draymond Green, as the focal point, and I don't know if he can score enough points. They really. Who do they pick up? I mean, where are they going to get their points from?
Russell?
Yeah, D'Angelo, but his style of basketball, does it fit? And look at you. You got a computer in front of you. That is not.
Oh, what?
Yes.
I'm looking at Facebook.
That's even worse. And is he going to be able to fit into that system?
Yeah.
Do they need a new system to go into play? Because they were the Splash Brothers. Now one of the Splash guys is gone. So what do they do? We know that Draymond's not a three-point shooter. Are they going to go ahead and try to depend on someone else other than D'Angelo Russell and, to try to help him pick it up? Your thoughts?
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
No. The Warriors. The Warriors are going to be good. Okay, you still have Steph Curry, and you still have. I know you don't like Draymond Green, but Draymond Green is a halfway decent player. You don't just give. He's looking at me. Draymond Green is a solid player, and D'Angelo Russell is going to score a lot of. He's going to get a lot of open looks as teams are going to dare. We're going to do our best to guard that perimeter with Steph Curry. We're going to dare you to do something with D'Angelo Russell. And I think it's going to backfire on a lot of teams. Just looking at the team from top to bottom, if they can hold out long enough, and if Klay Thompson's, body can heal and enough time to come back at some point, sometime in the season, it may not be as bad as you think. But like I said, expectations are so high on the Warriors. What does a bad year look like for them?
Right.
Is it totally missing the playoffs? Is it an 8th seed and getting bounced in the first round? What does it look like? We're going to find out how good of a coach Steve Kerr is. What can he do with this roster? And, maybe Steph Curry goes off, man. Maybe he becomes like James Harden last year and starts putting together a magical, triple-double run that no one's ever seen before. The guy's capable.
He's 31.
He can make the ball. He can, make the basket from anywhere. So... Yeah, he's 31.
He's 31. Yeah, 31. I don't see that coming. Now, here's the thing that's going to be interesting.
I'm trying to give it all.
I know. I see you. Yeah, you're a good guy. You're a good guy.
I try.
Now, so when we look at this, they're opening up the new arena for the Golden State Warriors this year. So the thing that I want to see, as fast as all those fans started showing up when they started winning, I want to see how long those fans stay when they start losing.
Oh, they'll stay.
Yeah.
They'll stay. They have enough championships. This is the perfect time to open an arena because you have a lot of goodwill. You have a lot of goodwill with a lot of fans. And most Warrior fans are realistic. They're, I haven't talked to one this summer that's like, oh, yeah, we're going to be juggernauts again. They're realistic. But you know what? They just hold up their hand and go, look at these rings. That's okay. Yeah. Because, when we get Klay Thompson back and when we get this back, we'll be powerhouses again. And they might. They might be, but
I don't see
it's
it
hard
happening. It's not going to happen. That is my sport.
I'm just saying this is the perfect time to open an arena, and this is the perfect time. You have goodwill. You have a lot of positive credit in the bank, right? Quan's nodding his head. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
I know what I'm talking about.
He probably has a Golden State something somewhere.
Oh, Ben Simmons.
Yes, there we go. And then the number 8 team that we're looking at, Trailblazers. We have C.J. McCollum, Damian Lillard, and they just had the pickup of Hassan Chop Whiteside. I love that guy. Another guy who went down for him as well is Joseph Nurkic, which he would have been a big difference maker last year when they went to the playoffs. But he's no longer. He was no longer there when they needed him. So they went ahead and picked up Paul Gasol as well. Zach Collins kind of came into his own toward the end of the playoffs there.
Yep.
I don't see them being pressure. I don't know if they're even in a top 10 category, so to speak. Someone has to be. Definitely won't be the Detroit Pistons. But but the man with the plan and the team kind of follows. It's Damian Lillard. Even though he's out there throwing shade on Shaq right now. But, I don't know if that's a battle you want to pick up. But in that same breath, I think if they follow his lead, they get behind him, and I think they're going to fare well.
Yeah. I like you said, someone's got to fall on the outlier. At any one of these last teams, the Trailblazers, the Celtics, Raptors, Jazz. If you put them in a different order than I have them on paper,
oh no,
I wouldn't be upset. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because some of these teams, you know what? I think I put the Jazz too low. I think the Jazz actually should be probably in the 8th seed or something like that. But I can't really, until the season begins. Yeah, sure. Put the Trailblazers in there. Dame Lillard, man, the guy,
beast.
He is a beast, man. And by himself, he's a beast. I like the addition of Zach Collins, the Rodney Hoods and Hassan Shop Whiteside. I like the team. I don't think they have enough firepower to really make a run at the championship, but they can have a good season. I don't know. Sometimes they surprise me. A lot of these teams surprise me.
Yeah, then we have the new look Celtics. Man, talk about something, the wheels falling off fast. All the high expectations that they had going into 2017.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just dissipated. Injuries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they're a different look. And I don't know what they can do as far as expectations, because last year was supposed to be the year that they're going to win it all. And they did not do, they didn't make it out of
it. Comes back down. You got to bring those expectations back down, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? You got the Patriots. Whatever, Boston. No, not really. Yeah, they were supposed to have a better outing last season. Kyrie leaves, and his time is past. So we'll see. We'll see how those young players grew up. They no longer have Kyrie to kind of lean on, or depending on how you look at it, a lot of people are not happy with Kyrie. So maybe that shadow over that organization can move a little bit further north to Brooklyn there, and some of these guys can emerge from that and be better players because of it. We'll see. And I know it's a lot of we'll see, but it's still preseason and things like that. But the Celtics, until we start seeing them on the court more consistently together in these preseason games, you're kind of going, paper, does it really make sense? But they got a good young squad, and that's the key. They're young. They got a good young squad. They got guys they can build around. So,
yeah. And then at number 10, we have the Raptors, and you know what? The Raptors don't care. I'm going to put it like that, fans. The Raptors won their championship. They gave Kawhi his passport. They let him go. They probably gave him a couple of Canadian dollars. I don't know what the money is called over there. They still have
Canadian
their man.
dollars.
Yeah. They still have Kyle Lowry. And
Kyle Lowry
down there,
like
and I think they're good. They're definitely in a rebuilding season. Ibaka, they talked to him the other day when I was watching the NBA updates, and he knows that the expectations are low for them, and but it's keeping realistic. I mean, you're coming off of a NBA championship when no one even thought you were going to even be in the playoffs. I mean, the last 3 years, LeBron has been their nemesis. And LeBron finally leaves the East Coast Conference, and they're able to win it all because one man basically just willed them into a championship, which was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen before. For one person to go to one team, not coming into the league, he wasn't this superstar player. He was just supposed to be a defensive stalwart, and all of a sudden he developed a jump shot. His defense with his hands, big old hands, or something special, and. He came, he did, he conquered.
Yeah, what a crazy season for Kawhi and the Raptors, and
for their country. I mean,
I love the expression last year. LeBron leaves, and the U.S. loses the championship to another country. He cleared the path for him, man. And you're talking about a one-man wrecking crew on both sides of the court. Kawhi Leonard had a season for the ages. Like you said, like LeBron a few years before that, kind of willed a team
Right.
to a championship, even though they had Kyle Lowry and they had good support players. But really, that was Kawhi Leonard all the way. And he hated to leave, but if you're gonna leave, leave him with the championship. Say, all right, cool, because everyone was, everyone was just kind of like, yeah, I understand, I get it.
They weren't
I get
mad.
it. No, I'm not mad. We got a championship.
They did not burn his jersey.
No,
Yeah.
not too many of them.
Yeah. Then you have the Utah Jazz, and they're definitely in a situation where I think they have to make a big difference. This year they went ahead and picked up Mike Conley. Donovan Mitchell's in his 4th season, if I'm not mistaken. Rudy Gobert, hopefully he put on a couple pounds. That's something that'll be important. Bogdanovich is there now. Joe Ingles, I love Joe Ingles.
Yep.
The Australian. He has an attitude like nobody's business. Dante Exum, he should be a little bit more healthier this season. And, man, it's just they're one of those teams where there's so many expectations for them, but I think they get in their own way.
They fly under the radar a lot. Too.
Yeah.
They're quiet. They're quietly good. I think they should have a really good team, really good squad there. Again, I think it's going to be a quietly good season for the Utah Jazz. Tough place to play, though. Jazz, get your fans under control. A lot of ill stuff going on up there. I'm not gonna start all that discussion, but they got to get under control, Jazz fans.
Yeah, your fans can't be touching people.
Yeah, don't be touching players on the court, saying the things you're saying. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's enough.
Well, man, it was been a good show, brother.
I love that the NBA season is here, and I love that we're gonna have all of them going at once. NHL, NFL, and right before we go, last few minutes of the show, Vegas Golden Knights start the season off with a win.
Big win.
Big win. Riley Smith, 2 goals.
Yeah.
Cody Glass gets his first
The Rook.
first one.
No.
That's our first draft pick ever, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it looked good. The team as a whole, it looked as if San Jose was going to give them a little problems. When there was 3-1, they scored a goal, the Sharks. Then it was taken off the scoreboard, and then from that point on, the Knights just continued to just put that pounding on them.
I like it.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what the rebound game, because the next game we play them again.
In San Jose.
In San Jose. So before all these expectations start going through the roof, let's get, it's 82 games, people. It's
82 games, but you know what? I did see on ESPN and a few other places, we are the chic pick to hoist the Stanley Cup.
Everybody just wants to come here. Everyone just wants to come here and watch.
Like I said earlier, I said at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
70 degrees and sunny outside.
That's it.
Beautiful.
Hey, well, thank you guys for joining us. It's the final countdown. We will be here next Thursday, 5 p.m. Make sure to stream us live on Facebook when you want to listen to us. They can catch us at where, Mr. Long, for the rebroadcast?
FullMetalSports.com. You can find all of our videos between this and the show that's coming up in just a couple of minutes, Levels, a new show from Full Metal Sports. You catch it, all the stuff there. Or on iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher if you're more of audio folk. You do that, catch us there.
It's MP.
Jeremy Long.
We'll talk to you later. Peace.